Well, the section's been around since the 50s, and some of the food editors that preceded me are pretty storied names in the Washington Post. Phyllis Richmond comes to mind. She was a powerful figure in Washington when she was the restaurant critic and the food editor for a period. Before Phyllis, some people are surprised to discover that I've been editing this section since 2006, but people are surprised to discover that I'm not the first man to edit the food section. Bill Rice was one of the early food editors of this section, and he edited it in the 60s and 70s. And he was one of the people who founded a very influential group called the International Association of Culinary Professionals, which now gives many awards to cookbooks and journalists and is very well reputed. There were editors in the 80s and 90s that included Jean McManus and Nancy McKeon, both really accomplished feature journalists who brought a lot of liveliness to the section.
We still count on those Washington Post readers to give us great recipes, but we also get recipes from local chefs, local cookbook authors who aren't local but are on trend with something that we're interested in. Sometimes Joe or I or somebody else on staff will sort of dabble in the kitchen and come up with our own recipes as well. A lot come from food bloggers these days who have turned into a great resource online, as well as making the shift to print in books and in newspapers. So a variety of ways. And we love hearing from readers, and every once in a while somebody will just haul off and send me in a recipe they think is really good and ask me what I think of it, and sometimes we'll tweak it and put it in the paper. We also hold an annual top tomato contest. I think we've done that for about 6 or 7 years, and that was purely because I love tomatoes. And I just thought everybody's got their favorite recipes out there, and over the years we've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of entries, really good recipes, and we usually end up picking 10 or 12 and we put them in an August edition that's become very popular, almost as popular as our annual cookie issue in December. That's sort of one of our claims to fame. I guess it started sometime in the 80s here, but it's a good rule to follow. We found that even some recipes in cookbooks could stand a bit of further explanation, which is sometimes why you'll see the source line for a recipe that appears in the Washington Post will say adapted by. It's not like we mess with every recipe, but sometimes we'll put it in our own language or make a step clearer in order for readers to understand the directions a little bit better. We also tell people how to store the food, whether it freezes well, how long it will stay in the refrigerator. Sometimes we even tell you where to get hard to find ingredients because we want you to make it. I like recent recipes that I've tested and that I've eaten that sort of appeal to a modern sensibility. There was a lemon and honey flavored chicken. It was kind of an easy one-pan dish, and I just loved it. The readers loved it. The recipe climbed to the top of our, we keep track of the most popular recipes online every month, and this one made the top 10 list of the year. There's also kind of a fun recipe, and I think it's our oldest recipe in the book, called Filbert Delights. It's a no-bake cookie recipe, and it's a mixture of chopped up dates and hazelnuts. I don't remember what it's got in it. It's sort of rolled in confectioner sugar. They take about 10 minutes to make, and they were delicious. So of course it seemed like a perfect Washington Post recipe to me.